Hello prospective challengers, I'm Gail, and if you take part in the TGO challenge you may bump into me at Challenge Control in Montrose at the end. The subject of this video is the entry and experience form. If you're thinking of entering the TGO challenge, then you may be interested in seeing the entry form in advance of entries opening. If all you're interested in is seeing the contents of that form at a glance, then the 30 seconds immediately following this introduction I show the entirety of the form. If you want to see in more detail the answering of the questions and a little bit of talk about them, then continue watching beyond that 30 seconds and I will run through the whole form. So without further ado, let's get into it. This is the online application form. I'm first going to just show all the pages of it. You can pause the video so that you can read it in detail if you want to. Page 2 is the previous crossings and experience form. Page 3 is an admin page. And the final page is the declarations. I'll now go through more slowly, and in order to progress from one page of the form to the next I'm going to need to fill in some details. So we start off with the name, which I think is self-explanatory as we can get. The preferred first name only appears on the participants list. For every other purpose we want the full name to be used. Again, address should be self-explanatory. Your email address goes in here. And your mobile phone number, which should be a full number. I'm just going to put in a few digits just to be able to progress on the form. Gender, age. Now, how many people are in your group? Choose the appropriate number. It can be between 1 and 4. Because it's a simple scenario to have one person, I'm going to say that we've got 2 people in this group, and I'm going to say that the person filling in this form isn't the group leader. So I'm going to say that the group leader is Eileen Jones, and please try to make sure that you use the same name as everybody else in your group as the group leader, and all spelt the same way. It makes it an awful lot easier for us to match up who is in which group. And group member number 2 here is going to be the person filling in the form, so that's just repeating the same name. If you are in a group by yourself, as in if you are solo, then you still need to put yourself in as the group leader here. And then you choose your start date. That allows you to progress to the next page. This is the second page of the form, which is the previous crossings and experience form. When you go onto this page you can't see the experience form. The experience form will only appear if you say that you have done 0 crossings. If you've done crossings before but they were quite a number of years ago, then it's possible you may receive an email after you've made your application form asking for more detail about what you've done in between, but you don't need to worry about that for the purpose of completing this form. But assuming that you are a first timer who's never done any crossings or partial crossings before, you will just fill in those at the top, and that will take you down to the experience form. The experience form is the section that most first-time applicants are interested in seeing in advance, so I'll step through the questions in this section. But first, note that this is not a test and there aren't right or wrong answers. We're not on a mission to rule people out of the challenge here. We want an accurate view of what your experience is. Even if you don't have vast amounts of experience, we need to know exactly what you have done so that we can feed that information into the route vetting process. So the first question is about your walking in Scotland. Now, you may have lots of experience of walking elsewhere in the world, but specifically here we want to know about walking in Scotland, and it won't rule you out if you say that you've never walked in the Scottish Hills before. Lots of challengers haven't been to Scotland before. Again, we just need to know that for route vetting purposes. And we then want to know what the duration of your longest backpacking trip is. I'm just going to give an answer here, and then I'm just going to put in a bit of sample information into the details of the backpacking trip. Note that here we want you to give year, location, duration, daily distance, and whether it was on a waymarked trail or a self-planned route. And if you've got lots and lots of experience going back many years, then it'll be fine if you just summarise that more briefly. We don't need a very long list of all of your trips. We need a sample of what you've done most recently. So I'll just put some example information into here. And then the next question is quite straightforward. Of the trips that you've stated above, tell us which of them were solo. And then we want to know what your experience is of navigating over pathless terrain in poor visibility. If you've got very limited experience of that, then just say so. Again, this will just really feed into the route vetting process. So just state clearly what it is that your experience is. So as you can see, I've actually given an answer there that isn't related to backpacking trips, because it might be that you've got lots of navigating experience, but it's on day walks rather than on backpacking trips. That's absolutely fine. Just state exactly what it is that you've done. And similarly with winter walking, this doesn't need to necessarily be backpacking winter walking. It's just winter walking experience. And again, absolutely fine if you have none. Just state that you have none. I should probably just nip back up to this backpacking question and clarify that this does only cover backpacking. So these are the trips where you have carried tent, sleeping bag, food, etc., and you have gone from place to place and spent a night and then continued on the next day. Jumping back down, do you intend to carry a tent or a shelter? Answer the yes or the no. On average, what distance do you expect to cover on your TGO challenge route? Again, no right or wrong answer, except you do need to make sure that you are capable of walking a distance that will allow you to get across Scotland in 15 days. So give an answer there that can be lower than that one that I've given. It can be higher. Give an answer that feels right for you based on your experience. We'd like to know how you heard about the challenge. The final question is any other information that you feel is relevant, and what is particularly relevant here is that if you've done a lot of hill walking, even though it's not been backpacking, it'd be good if you could state here what it is that you've done. I know on this example I've said that I've not walked in Scotland, but if you've not backpacked in Scotland but you've done many Munros or Corbetts, then state that in this box. So I'll just give an example answer here. Then we can move on to the next page. This page is straightforward. You're going to tell us your t-shirt size. You're going to say whether you want a physical certificate, a virtual certificate or no certificate. You're going to tell us your sock size. Don't get excited because there may not be socks next year, but just in case there is, we need to know your sock size. And we want to know if you want a pin badge. There'll be a chance to order one nearer to the date of the challenge. And that will take us then through to the final page, which is the declarations. There are a number of checkboxes that you need to tick. Please don't just do that without having read all of the information that's in there. The terms and conditions is not a very long document. There's some very important information in there, so go away and read it via this link before you check the box, and then go through, check that you can agree to everything, answer all the questions appropriately, decide whether you want to hear from our sponsors and partners, and then you can submit your form by clicking on the submit button. You'll then get an email back acknowledging receipt of it, and then after you've had the automatic acknowledgement, that will give you a link so that you can go and pay, and then sometime after that you'll receive an email back to confirm that we've reviewed your experience form and that you either have a place or that we'd like a little more information from you. I hope that was useful to you, and we look forward to receiving your entry. In the meantime, if you need any further information, you can either ask on the TGO Challenge Facebook group, or you can send an email to the coordinators.